I'm missing something over here. I'm doing a Frozen 2 video, and what do I have in this room that is specifically related to Frozen 2? Oh, I don't know what that could be at all. How about this? There we go. A pretty water horse. A Nork, I think is what it was called. Okay, so as you've guessed, this is going to be my review of the 2019 movie from Disney, Frozen 2, the sequel to the original Frozen that came out in, I believe, 2013, if I'm remembering my dates correctly. And overall, I do very much like this movie. I do like the songs in it quite a bit. Oh, I just realized I do not have my light on in the background. Let's see, what light should I go with? I'll say we'll go with white. I still have all the garland and the lights up and everything, obviously, because of Christmas. And I have a Grinch shirt on. I have different Grinch shirts for like every Sunday and Advent, and then one that I wear on Christmas Eve, and they get progressively more and more Christmassy. And then I don't wear a Christmas shirt on Christmas. That's just the weird thing that I do. I wear Christmas shirts a lot of the way through the month. Christmas itself, no. Okay, so yeah, for the review. So, Frozen 2 takes place the majority of the movie takes place about 3 years after the end of the first movie. So this is after, Frozen Fever and Olaf's Christmas Adventure, whatever you want to call it, and any of those other little shorts that they've had with Olaf and such, and the rest of the group. I like Frozen Fever. I don't really care that much for the Olaf's Frozen Christmas Adventure, whatever it's called. But in this one, we do get, obviously, time has passed a bit. Things are getting a little bit more, Elsa has more control over her ice powers and everything. But the movie actually starts with, again, when Elsa and Anna are children. And in regards to this, we see inside of one of the rooms in Arendelle, which is the room where Elsa and Anna sleep. This obviously takes place before Elsa accidentally hit Anna with her ice powers when they were children. According to the director, in her mind, it takes place the same night, just earlier in the same night that the beginning of the first movie happens, where we see them as kids playing in the ballroom with Elsa's ice powers. This is supposedly taking place earlier that night. And we see Elsa and Anna playing and everything, they're playing with Elsa's ice powers again. They're playing Enchanted Forest with all these little snow dolls that Elsa has created, which is adorable. And their parents come in, Queen Agnar and Queen Iduna. And of course, Agnar then tells them, well, that Enchanted Forest doesn't seem at all like any Enchanted Forest I've ever seen. And Anna's reaction is, you've been to an enchanted forest and you've never told us this? I love how she's accusing her father or something. It's just and Agnar tells them the story about when he was I don't remember if we get an exact age on him, but it's when he looked to be at least a teenager or so, that him and his father, King Runard, had gone to very far north, and they had visited these native people there that were called the Northuldra. And the Northuldra people were this group of native people. They're actually based on a group of people from this world that are called I believe they're called the Swanee, which is just another variation of a very, very far northern living people that are in the Denmark and Scandinavian area. I'm not an extreme, I don't know a whole lot about them, but they're this other people, not I don't know, I don't want to say Eskimos because they're not quite the same as that, or Inuits. There's a difference there, but the Northuldra people are people that live very much in tune with the land. I would actually kind of put them as a little bit similar to the native people that we see in Brother Bear. Where they live very much in tune with the land. Yeah, they don't always get along with the land, but they try to get along with it as much as they can. Admittedly, there's a big time gap in there, of course, but because Brother Bear takes place during like the Ice Age type thing. But King Runar and Agnar, when he's a child or teenager, go up to where the Northuldra are from in this enchanted forest. And King Runar had built this dam there that was supposed to help strengthen the Northuldra's lands, but it didn't. And Agnar learned that there were these spirits there, one of fire, one of wind, one of water, and one of earth. Earth or stone, depending on which way you want to put it. And the Northuldra people live in harmony with these things. We see fire that helps them cook their food, that's just like sentient type fire that pops up. We see them like going, being carried across the water. We see them being like, lifted up into the air by the wind. We see them, living in harmony with like the stone giants that live in the forest as well. And Agnar thinks that things are going fine, and then somehow something shifts, and the Northuldra and the Arendelians are now fighting against each other. And he sees what looks like his father and the Northuldra chief fighting against each other, and they seem to fall over a cliff. And then Agnar is wounded, and he somehow ends up being the only one to make it out of the forest, or one of the only ones to make it out of the forest, because all of the spirits grew angry with the way that the Northuldra and the way that the Arendelians, I don't know exactly what the correct word term for that is, actually. Arendelians? I don't remember. Arendelle. But Agnar somehow found himself outside of the forest because like this giant curtain of fog like spread over the entire enchanted forest, trapping everyone inside of it. And he was one of the only ones to make it out. I'm assuming there were probably a few other soldiers that made it out, but for the most part it was just him. And he gets back and his father's dead, and now he's king. And we see Agnar telling this story to Anna and Elsa, and we see their mother there, and she's talking with them as well. And Agnar is like, in regards to Elsa with her powers, he's like, we don't know what'll happen. Someday those spirits might come back and they might be a threat to us. We're not sure. No one's been back there since. And no one has returned from the forest since then either. This is like some 32, I think, years later that this is happening, because obviously in that time frame Agnar has grown up, and then he married Iduna, and then they had Elsa and Anna in that time frame. I don't remember if we get actually we can do the math, because if he became king as soon as he got back, then that would be 32 years minus the 6 years for the time, or 3 years after the first movie, and 3 years since they died 6 years ago. So that would be about 26 years, I think, that Agnar would have reigned, because Elsa's reigned for about 3 years or so, and like they had like the 3-year time frame in there between when like their mother and father died on the ship, and then when Elsa became queen, because she wasn't 21 yet. So there was like that gap in there and everything, but Elsa and Anna are just like so interested in this forest, and they're just like, Agnar's like, I don't know what happened, but someone saved me. And, I don't know who that was, but I thank them for saving me. And Anna's like, whoever saved you, I love them. And like everything, she's just like, I'm so happy they saved you. Well, yeah, you're happy they saved him, because you wouldn't be alive if he hadn't been saved. And then Queen Iduna sings them this lullaby that is about this place called Ottohallen. I think that was the correct way of pronouncing it, Ottohallen. And she has a song that's called All Is Found. And she sings it to Elsa and Anna and makes them fall asleep. And then we cut to, they fall asleep, and then like by technicality via like a little bit later in that same night, that's when Elsa and Anna wake up again, and they go play in the ballroom, and that's when Elsa accidentally hits Anna with the powers, and then they have to go and speak with the trolls, and that leads into everything that happened in the first movie. We cut forward in time, and we cut to Arendelle having this big kind of end of summer going into fall type of big celebration, and we have the song Some Things Never Change. We see Elsa, of course, we see Anna and Olaf, and Olaf now has like this permafrost. Since Elsa is getting better with her powers, she's able to like kind of permafrost him so he doesn't melt. And of course we see Kristoff and Sven running around, and Kristoff and Sven, Kristoff is to the point where he is ready to try to propose to Anna. And he's just like he can't quite figure out the best way to do it. He's got the ring and everything, and he knows he wants to propose to her, but like that's part of the underlying thing in the movie. It's like, oh, he keeps trying and failing to try to propose to her again and again and again. Spoiler alert: he finally gets it right at the end of the movie. But they're having this big celebration. We have the song "Some Things Never Change," which is like yeah, stuff might change and everything, like all around them in the background. If there's, contrary of like things are changing and everything, but, I'm still going to be here holding your hand. My friendship with you is one of those things that will last forever. My love for you will last forever type of thing, that we get all of them singing and everything. And we see like the townsfolk all singing and everything, like the people that work at the castle. And of course, Elsa and Anna, of course, the gates are open and everybody's happy. And then that night we have all of them having this kind of the family group, which is Anna and Elsa and Kristoff and Sven and Olaf are all there, and they're kind of doing like a family game night of charades, and which is just kind of funny because it's like all of them going on and like trying to get the right answers and everything, and like Elsa keeps getting distracted because she keeps hearing this voice and she can't quite place it. She's like, there's this voice calling to me. She knows the voice is calling to her, but she doesn't tell Anna or anything like that. And she's just, confused by the voice and everything. And she's just not quite 100%, there with everyone. But they do charades and, everybody goes off to bed, and like Kristoff does try to propose to Anna, but it doesn't work because she's more concerned about Elsa, and then she goes off to go and check on Elsa. Kristoff, I'll get it eventually. Like looking at the ring, like it's like and like throughout the whole movie, Kristoff is very supportive of Anna, and he doesn't do anything that says that she shouldn't try to help her sister. And I do kind of like that. Obviously, Kristoff and Elsa's relationship has improved. At the end of the first movie, they hadn't really interacted with each other beyond when like he showed up at the ice castle with Anna, but it didn't really do much. He didn't really interact with Elsa then, and at the end of the movie, yeah, she makes him like the royal ice deliverer or whatever the case is. One of the things that I do like that they said about the movie before like the movie came out or when the movie was announced is that the director for it, or the co-directors, had said that, Once Upon a Time did their own version of like what happens in Frozen with, Anna and Kristoff being engaged and like everything that happens with their parents in that way, and like the connection to their aunt that they throw in there. With how that's set up in the movie, with the way that's set up in Once Upon a Time, and I went over that in the Frozen, the other Frozen video that I did. I talked about Once Upon a Time in that, and in that one, Kristoff and Elsa don't really get along that well. They tolerate each other because for Kristoff it's Elsa is your queen, and for Kristoff it's also Elsa is Anna's sister and she's the queen, and for Elsa she tolerates Kristoff because Anna loves him and they're engaged, and she by the end of the Frozen arc in Once Upon a Time, obviously Kristoff has earned Elsa's respect quite a bit more than he had already at that point in time, and she's very supportive of Elsa, or of Anna and Kristoff being together. But in this one, and we see it little bits here and there with just the way that Kristoff and Elsa seem to get along quite a bit better in this case. And like obviously he's living in the castle and everything, and like Sven gets to roam around the castle, and we see portraits there of Elsa and Anna and Kristoff and Sven and Olaf, and then like Elsa and Anna and their parents and such, and we see those two portraits together, which I heard in one of the other reviews I've watched for this video several weeks or a couple of weeks ago, when I watched like the Super Carlin Brothers review of Frozen 2, just to kind of get their take on it. And like I'll have slightly different take on it, but I like how they did the comparison to the fact that like these like the portrait that's there that's like of Elsa and Anna and Kristoff and Sven is, you know, obviously that's like a portrait based on like the promotional artwork that went out for the movie, but it's like by technicality in that portrait, Kristoff doesn't really have any royal title. He's not married to Anna. They're not engaged. There's nothing there. Yeah, they're dating, but it's not like they're not like officially married or anything like that. And it's just like kind of random that he's like in this portrait that hangs in the palace. And it's like the equivalency of like, oh, you had someone that accompanied you to a wedding at one point in time, and like maybe that person's not in the not around anymore even after the wedding. You know, I know that. But like, you know, so we see that and everything, and you know, Elsa and Anna kind of have this conversation again, and you know, Elsa has pulled out like their mother's shawl that she wears whenever she's sad, or whenever she's troubled, and like Elsa and Anna talk a little bit, and then like, you know, they end up falling asleep after they sing, you know, the song again, All Is Found Again, about, you know, to Holland and everything. And then Elsa wakes up in the middle of the night, and she, you know, we get her song, Into the Unknown, which I do like. And of course, that was one of the big, you know, pop hits that came out of this, because Panic at the Disco did their version of it. And there's like the music video for Into the Unknown by Panic at the Disco on the Blu-ray and on the DVD, and the song on the CDs. And actually, for Into the Unknown, there is a feature on one of the, there aren't just the Blu-ray, on the Blu-ray and the DVD, I'm not sure. But they have Into the Unknown sung in like 20-some different languages. You know, shifting from like one voice of Elsa into the next seamlessly. And like, you know, you can see like the different languages that are being sung. You know, it starts off in English, and, you know, it works its way through, you know, these other 20-some languages. And it's beautifully done. Because obviously this, you know, Frozen was a big hit in you know, huge places all over the world, and so was, you know, Frozen 2, and, you know, they want to be able to have the songs there and everything, and, you know, be able to have that so everybody can hear the songs. But, you know, Elsa's singing Into the Unknown, and she's, you know, going out of the castle, and she's singing, you know, kind of her power is not like not going out of control, but it's kind of like, you know, being manipulated a little bit by like these other things. And the end of it is, you know, she releases like a huge amount of power, and it like awakens like all of these like there's these crystal gem type things that like appear all around her, and like all the way through like a large section around the castle and everything. I don't know if they're all the way through the town, but they're like through a large section around the castle. These like crystal things appear in the air, and they have, you know, earth, fire, water, and wind. If we're going with the rock bands, earth, wind, air, and fire. Earth, wind, and fire. Earth, wind, air, and wind are the same thing. Sorry. Water, and then you know, all that. But Elsa kind of awakens that, and then like everything starts going to hell in a handbasket all over Arendelle, and like, you know, the water stops, and like the fire goes out, and the ground starts moving, so it's like they have to get everybody out of there, and like they're all rushing everybody out of Arendelle. You know, everybody's, you know, evacuating Arendelle, and they all get out, and then Grandpappy shows up along with the trolls, and he's like, okay, so here's the thing, something's wrong. And Elsa's like, till I gotta, I think I accidentally woke the, it's like, I think I accidentally woke up the, ancient spirits from the Enchanted Forest. Anna, I thought we were going to talk more, Elsa. I thought we weren't going to have secrets from each other anymore, type of thing. Just like, oh my god, Elsa, we had a whole other movie about this with you closing yourself off for me. Not a good idea. Like, it's basically like that moment. And like, you know, Grandpappy is like, you know, well, you know, I don't see a future for Arendelle at the moment. So it's like, Elsa determines, okay, I have to go north. I have to go to the Enchanted Forest and try to figure out what's going on and everything. Um, and what ends up happening is, Elsa and Kristoff and Sven and Olaf, of course, go with her. She's like, Kristoff, I need to borrow Olaf. Or Elsa looks at Kristoff and she was like, I need to borrow Sven and your sleigh. And he was like, I am not comfortable with that. So it's just like all of them go. And like, Olaf is, rambling off all these very annoying facts. And then they get to, Elsa and like Olaf fall asleep and everything. Like Kristoff and Anna are left and like they're just talking and everything. And like he like tries to do the proposal thing again. And he's just like, the last time, the first time that we met and everything, and we were in a sleigh and everything. And, and I said that you had to be crazy to marry somebody you just met. And Anna's just like, you think I'm crazy? Like giving him the look of like, well, with that look you just gave me, yes, I do think you're crazy type of thing. Oh my god, you think I'm crazy? I love that. I love Kristen Bell as Anna. She's so great with the way that they have her play the role. And like Kristoff is just like stumbling over his words and keeps making things worse, and like Anna keeps jumping to the wrong conclusion and everything like that. And it's not going well. And then like they get to where they get to where this giant like fog bank is, and they get there, and they try to like Olaf tries to like run into it and like bounces off of it, and like Kristoff tries to touch it and it doesn't, bounces him back and everything, so he can't get through. And then Elsa like touches the fog and like it kind of separates, and we see the giant stone pillars that were there that were reminiscent of, this is the entrance to the forest with the fire, water, rock, and wind spirits all represented there. And they start walking through, and they basically get like sucked in to the Enchanted Forest. And like Olaf is like, I've heard that Enchanted Forests are places of transformation. I have no idea what that means, but I have a feeling it's going to change every one of us. Back it down, Olaf. And like they're like roaming around, looking around the forest and everything. And it's a beautiful forest. And actually, they state that the forest itself for the Enchanted Forest is actually based on the forest that is in Sleeping Beauty. Which I may have mentioned back in one of the Sleeping Beauty videos as just one of the little trivia things that went along with it. But the forest itself is kind of based off of like that same type of forest that they have there in Sleeping Beauty. And I personally love the forest that they have in Sleeping Beauty. But like Olaf keeps doing this whole thing of like, water has memory, and it remembers so much stuff and everything. And it's like, okay, Olaf, yeah, I get it. Part of the movie, I get it. We're supposed to pay attention to that. Because he has like all these weird random facts, and I'm just like, why do you have facts about this? This makes no sense. But they like, are making their way through the forest, and then Olaf gets his song When I Am Older, which is all about, oh, when I'm older, I'll understand everything that's going on and everything will make perfect sense. No, it won't. No, it won't. I'm sorry, it won't, Olaf. Don't make kids think that. Just because you get older doesn't mean that things make sense. Doesn't mean that things will be all hunky-dory and everything when you're older. And, it's like we see like the creepy eyes in the background, and it's like rocks and like fire and everything, like Olaf running around and everything. And like Kristoff tries to propose again, and it doesn't go well again. Poor Kristoff. Poor Kristoff. I'm so sorry for him. And then the group gets attacked by the wind spirit, and Elsa ends up having to, basically subdue it, face off against it with her power, and she is able to subdue it. And then the wind becomes much more playful, playing with them a little bit, messing with their hair and different things like that. And they name the wind Gale, the wind spirit Gale. I have a cousin named Gale. Gale, there's a Disney character that has your name, spelled differently though. There was also a guy that used to come into where I used to work whose name was Gale. He was nice. But one of the other things that happens when Elsa stops the wind spirit, faces off against it, is that she let out like this huge burst of her ice magic, and it actually seemed to freeze different moments in time. We see different, we see like this horse rearing up. We see, soldiers with swords. We see, what looks like a boy being saved by a girl with wind wrapping around them. And they recognize the boy as their father, as King Agnar from from younger pictures of him, or younger portraits of him, and they recognize him. And then this is when they are kind of not ambushed, but found by the Northuldra people, and then the Arendelian soldiers that have been in the forest for the past 32 years. 32 years. I apologize if I get the time frame wrong. It's like 30 some years, because they state that at like the end of the movie. But like the two groups obviously don't really get along, because like the last time, they've been like probably running into each other, quite a bit over the last several, 3 decades. And eventually, I would assume at some points in time they have possibly had to like work together, possibly, not work together, cause problems for each other, probably had bits of truce, like, we don't go into this part of the forest, you don't go into this part of the forest, all that type of a thing. Because I haven't been able to leave, of course. And Olaf goes into this whole thing where he basically explains who they all are. Like, gives basically... And we get the moment where, like, he enacts basically, like, the whole first movie, which is just so funny. Like, him going through and, like, acting out the whole first movie and everything. And, like, we keep cutting back to, like, the lead soldier, General Mateus, and the Northuldra leader, who I want to say Yelena is her name, but I could be wrong on that. Like, we keep cutting back to them, and, like, his reactions are just like, oh my god, and her reactions are like, seriously, what is going on? And then like, we keep cutting back to like Olaf acting it out and everything, like, Elsa or Anna frozen forever. Oh no. Or the whole, at least they still have their parents. Their parents are dead. No. I love that whole interaction that they have there. Where it's like we watched them like play out the whole first movie. Or like, it's like, can we just have, like, Josh Gad just, like, sum up the whole first movie in his own way? Yes. Okay, that's what we'll do. Let's catch these guys up on what's happened the last 32 years. Okay, and they do that, and it's just funny. And, like, so Mateus, and then, like, Anna recognizes Mateus, Lieutenant Mateus, as, like, the one that had been, like, their father's personal guard when they had been when they'd gone to the forest in the first place, and how he had, protected Agnar, and was probably one of the reasons why Agnar had been able to escape. And then at this point in time, they are then attacked by the fire spirit, who's called Bernie, something like that, who's also like is firing off her different ice powers to try to like subdue the fire and everything. And Anna's trying to help Elsa, and that doesn't work. And like there's reindeer running around, and like Kristoff and like goes and tries to help the reindeer and everything. Elsa then like corners the fire spirit, and it's like this little salamander thing, and like she's able to like slowly like calm it down, and like it turns it it's just this adorable little salamander thing. And I want one. I want to find a stuffed version of this thing, because Bernie or Burmy, whatever he's called, is so freaking cute. He's so cute, and I want one. I also want a stuffed version of the pig from Moana of Poa. But I don't really want Hey, but I want the pig. But like, yeah, I want like a stuffed version of Bernie, whatever he's called. And like, Elsa calms him down, and like, the fires all go out because like he's calmed down, and he actually likes her ice quite a bit, so it like cools him down. And this is when Elsa and Anna takes out their mothers. But what happens at this point in time is, after she's got Bernie all calmed down, Elsa and Anna pull out their mother's shawl, and they put it on, and the Northuldra people recognize this shawl. That's the Northuldra shawl. That's, it belonged to one of our oldest families, and they run back to where, like, the ice thing that was made that that is their father being saved by a girl. They recognize that the girl is wearing the same scarf, and that the girl is their mother. And this is where it is revealed that, their mother, Iduna, is Northuldra, is from this group. That the reason that Elsa was blessed with the powers that she has is because Iduna had saved the life of an enemy, had saved Agnar's life when they were children, when everything was going on, and that's why they were spared. Because it's like, oh, if these two can, try to bridge this gap, then maybe it can help down the line, and that's why they were allowed to go, and that's why kind of in this version, that's why Elsa was given her ice powers. And then we get the moment where like the Northuldra starts singing, and it's the same type of singing that was at the very beginning of the original Frozen movie before it goes into the Icebreakers singing, where it's the and I'm not even gonna try it, but it's more of the tribal type singing, and like it's also the way that this movie starts out with as well. And Elsa and Anna are like welcomed into the Northuldra tribe because it's just like, your mother was from us, and therefore you are children of the Northuldra. And this kind of makes this start a little bit of trying to heal this gap that was there between the soldiers and the Northuldra. Now, I don't know if we ever find out exactly, like, they've probably killed each other at some point in time, but since, like, the initial battle, I don't know exactly. It's like they probably made a truce, but as I stated, I don't really know too much else about that. And we end up getting introduced to two of the Northuldra siblings. One is Honeymaren, and she's the one that's talking with Elsa quite a bit, and then we have Ryder, who ends up befriending Kristoff. Honeymaren tells Elsa that, oh, this scarf that we have here, that you have, is, the pattern on it is representative of like the four spirits, but there's one in the middle, so there's like a fifth spirit. A bridge between the spirits and, between nature and the Northuldra and humans. And Elsa finds that very interesting, and like Kristoff and Ryder are kind of talking and becoming friends a little bit in regards to bonding over reindeer. And he's just like, I've just been trying to propose to Anna and nothing's working. And he goes like, and Ryder goes like, well, you're in luck. I may not know anything about women, but I know a lot about reindeer. And we happen to have a great, amazing way of proposing. So come on with me. If we get going, we'll be ready by morning. Like, they go off to go and, start gathering up what they need. It involves reindeer. Okay, they go off. And then Anna is talking to General Mateus, Lieutenant Mateus, and he's like, they're like getting caught up a little bit. Like, she's getting him caught up on some of the things that have been happening in Arendelle for the past 3 decades and everything, and kind of a little bit more set up on that. And he asks about like a girl that he had, like, I'm assuming had a crush on, and that he'd liked when he was younger. And Anna's like, nope, she never got married. And he's like, why doesn't that make me feel any better? And then this is when the Earth Giants show up. And the Earth Giants are these giant, rocky-looking, ogre-looking things. They're actually kind of cool-looking. And what ends up happening is Elsa figures out that she has to go off and, go off further and everything. And Anna and Olaf go with them. Go with Elsa, and we cut to the next morning, and Kristoff and Ryder have worked all night getting everything ready. Oh, I hear a dog at the door. One moment. Hi, you want some help? He's like, why is there so much stuff on the bed, Mom? You want to help or not? Come here. Come up. He's like, but I can't get on the bed. Why is there a brick? Up. Up, up, up. Good puppy. Hi. Hi. Hi, puppers. You already got to walk. I love you. I know, I love you. Hi, Bobby. Dog gone. You got a dog treat in the middle of the video. So what ends up happening is the next morning comes around, and like Elsa and Anna and Olaf have like wandered off to go and search, go further north and everything. And what ends up happening is Kristoff and Ryder and Kristoff, Ryder, and Sven have worked on getting everything ready for the proposal. And what ends up happening is they see someone coming and they think that it's Anna, like someone sent Anna to them. And like Kristoff is like, they have like all these reindeer behind them, and Kristoff is standing on top of this like a heart-shaped rock or so, and like, you know, they release a ton of, you know, butterflies that they've captured, like the, you know, like the little spinny things that, like, you know, like helicopter leaves that fall. Like they release all those, and like Kristoff goes into it and he's like, Anna, my, you know, my fiery princess, you know, I've, you know, blah 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 blah, will you marry me? And like, you know, he does it great. And then we pan, and like we see his face drop, and we look over, and it's actually Yelena standing there, the tribe, the chief, and she's just like, no. The queen and the princess went off, along with the weird snowman, went off to go further north. You can stay here, or come with us. We're moving on. And it's just like, okay. I just find that so funny. She's just like so dry. And, you know, this is where we get Kristoff's song in the movie, which is Lost in the Woods, which, when I went and saw this in the first time in theaters, and like I'm just sitting there in the theater, like he starts singing and it goes off, and like Sven is singing with him, and then like the other reindeer are singing, and then it's just like, oh my god, we went into a cheesy 80s music video. Which just made me laugh so hard. I mean, like, I do like the song in and of itself, because the song is all about the fact that, like, Kristoff is this, like, you know, this man of the woods and everything. He can find his way anywhere in the woods, but he doesn't have his true north anymore. He doesn't have Anna with him right now, and for like the past 3 years, ever since they met, she's been this true north to him. And we get like flashbacks from like the first movie when they first met, and like other things. And, you know, the song is actually very, very sweet, and like Sven and like all the other reindeer are all singing as well. And in, you know, like via production version of this, the the Jonathan Groff, who voices Kristoff and Sven, does the singing voices of like all the other reindeer as well. And there's like Bohemian Rhapsody moments in it, and like there's other moments in it that are just so funny. Like at one point he's even like, you know, cupping his ear and like looks like he's singing into like an acorn, like you would sing into like you know, a microphone. And it's just so funny watching it. And I just find this, it's so funny, but it's sad at the same time. And I like how they just kind of like juxtapose each other that way with that. And what ends up happening is, of course, you know, Anna is not there. She's, you know, she's his true north, and we kind of don't see Kristoff for a while. He's just kind of like, he's lost in the woods, literally. And then we cut to where Anna and Elsa are, and they've made their way further north, and they find this shipwreck. And it's the shipwreck of the ship that their parents had been on when they had left 6 years ago, before they died. And like, that shouldn't be here. They were going south. Why is it up here? And like they go into the ship, and like they find this waterproof, kind of like, I guess maybe like I guess the ship's equivalent of like a black box or something like that, like this waterproof thing. And like they find that, and it's like this map, and it's like writing on it, it's like, you know, source of Elsa's power, you know, very far north, Holland. You know, they were trying to find Holland because like that might give them some sense of like what to do with Elsa about her power. Not that they wanted to take Elsa's power away from her or anything like that, but that the Holland might be able to help find a way for Elsa to control her power, not get rid of it. Which is part of the plot that they like kind of hinted at in Once Upon a Time, that like their parents had, you know, maybe tried to find a way to like get rid of Elsa's power. But that's not the case. But in this case, it's like they wanted to find Holland. And Elsa uses her power again, and like this, you know, via, you know, water having memory, it, you know, forms into like this sculpture of like their parents, you know, just before they died. And, you know, Elsa is like blaming herself for the fact that their parents are dead. She's blaming herself. It was like, they came here looking for answers about me. I'm the reason they're dead. And Anna's like, no, you're not. What you do does not affect them. Or like, their choices were not because of you. Their choices are not your fault. Elsa and Anna, you know, this is when they're kind of having a little bit of a fight, and like Elsa tricks Anna, and she sends Kristoff or Anna and Olaf off on their own, you know, ice canoe sends them down, lands them in the river that's sending them downstream away from where she is, so she can head further north to find Atahalan. And this is where we get the moment where we have the scene with Anna and Olaf, where like they're going down the stream, and like Olaf is like, I'm sensing rising anger in me, which is like, Olaf doesn't really get angry all that often. And he's, angry at Anna and Elsa, and just like things have been changing so much. And, they end up running into the Earth Giants, of course. And, they'll end up, and they end up, falling down this kind of waterfall into a cave because reasons. And, they're searching their way through the cave, trying to find their way out and everything. And, Anna is like kind of, comforting Olaf, and they're kind of comforting each other. And then we cut to where we see Elsa. And it's Elsa on the beach when she's trying to go past the waves. When I first saw the trailers for this movie, and they used this scene, and they showed the water and the beach in this scene, I thought that it was real water, and like it was so well animated and so well designed that like until you see Anna or until you see Elsa or even see Elsa running on stuff, it looked like it was like real water and a real beach. And like they based so many of the different places in this movie off of like real places. Real architecture, real, fjords and different things like that. And it's this whole thing where it's just like, Elsa is trying again and again and again to get over the waves, stretching her powers further and further, freezing and jumping and trying to get over the waves. And then she runs into the Nork, the water horse, that's the water spirit, that thing. Not Stitch, the other blue thing. And she ends up, having to fight against and grapple against the Nork. And Knock. And she's, having to grapple against it. And she ends up finally, getting like this ice version of like a bridle on it. And she's able to not tame it, but like earn its trust. And then like she's riding on it north further and further because it can ride on the water, of course. And they're going, it's taking her to where Atahalan is. And she's, they get there and it's this giant glacier because, of course, Atahalan is rivers of memory, of ice, because water holds memory. And then this is where we get the song of Anna or for Elsa, that is "Show Yourself." And one of the warnings that was in the song that, all is found that their mother would sing to them was, don't go too far or you'll be drowned. In regards to like going to Atahalan and everything, don't go too far or you'll be drowned. And Elsa is like making her way through Atahalan, and it's just giant, beautifully like a glacier. And she's like, working her way through that and everything, and she's singing, and it's the "Show Yourself," and it's one of the other big songs that of course came out of this. And she's, it's a beautiful song, and like we see her getting like this other, change of outfit in this song. Her hair going down all the way, and more white coloring in her outfit, but like enhanced with like some of the other colors from the other spirits and everything. And like the voice that she's been following has actually been her mother's voice all along. And we see that, and then we see Elsa like kind of fully embrace part of what this other part that she hadn't been embracing yet, and she connects fully with the other four spirits that are represented in Atahalan. And then she, releases all her power again, and it makes all the snow sculptures appear, and like they're moving around, and it's, stuff from, her and, Anna's childhood, and, stuff from the first movie, like, Hans, and Elsa just like blows him up, and, we see like their parents when they were kids, and it's, it's like Iduna went back to the kingdom with Agnar, and, he's king, and, he's reading this book, and she's like, "What are you reading?" "Oh, it's this new Danish author." Double reference there. It's a reference to A, The Little Mermaid, because The Little Mermaid is on the front, and B, because Hans Christian Andersen wrote both The Little Mermaid and The Ice Queen, which is, of course, or The Snow Queen, which is what the original Frozen is based off of. That's a double reference there. And we see them. And, at some point, Iduna told Agnar that she was this girl. She was the one that saved him and everything. And Elsa kind of comes face to face with the snow version of her grandfather, of King Runard, and he says something about the fact that um, they put, the Northuldra have to be stopped. They put too much trust in nature, and that he kind of wanted a conflict with the Northuldra, and Elsa is kind of like having to stand up to her own grandfather, and like he keeps going further and further down, further and further into the glacier, and Elsa keeps following him, and she starts like freezing the way that Anna did in the first movie, where she is, her hands are getting frozen, and we see like the ice forming over her face, and we see Elsa get to the point where she witnesses what was her grandfather, her and Anna's grandfather, King Runar, about to attack the Northuldra chief, when he wasn't even, didn't have a weapon, and he had his back turned, and that it was this, that her grandfather was the one that had caused all of these problems. And she's, Elsa is like almost, freezing the same way that Anna did in the first movie, and she uses the last bit of power that she has to like send off, like basically like, I guess, an ice version of a Patronus from Harry Potter, because she like sends off another burst of ice and she freezes solid. And the ice piece, the snow power that she sent out, find its way to where Anna is, where she is with Olaf inside the cave, and it shows, it forms into the statue of their grandfather about to attack the Northuldra chief. And, Anna hears the voices that were going along with that, and she realizes that Elsa was the one that sent them this, and that now Anna has to do something. Unfortunately, right after this is when Olaf starts to kind of flurry. He starts falling apart, and like Anna's like holding him in his arms and everything. And she's he's slowly flurrying away. He's dying basically because like Elsa is dead, because Elsa is effectively dead at this point in time because she's frozen solid. And Olaf's power and life come from Elsa, and if Elsa is no longer around, then Olaf cannot be around. That was one thing I wish that they had put into, or I don't know where I fall, like whether or not I wish they had Olaf in the Frozen section of Once Upon a Time. I don't know. I would have been okay with it, but also not. I don't know. It would have been annoying to have the snowman around, I guess. But Olaf, just basically goes away. And Anna and him are talking as he's, flurrying away, while they're still inside the cave, and like they can see the exit. They can see like this, light in the cave that, you follow the light and you'll get out. It's still ways away, but you can see it. And I think it's Olaf that says, "I thought of something else that's permanent." And she goes, "What's that?" He goes, "Love." And I will fully admit, I cried during this part and the next part, because the next part is like the next morning. Anna wakes up, and this is where we have her song, "The Next Right Thing." And "The Next Right Thing" is all about, the song itself is all about this concept of like, hopefully I can get through this without tearing up, is all about the concept of if everything has been taken from you, if everything is gone, if you have nothing else to keep going for, just take the next step and the next step and keep going. And I would kind of say that, this came out in 2019, so it came out like everything happened with COVID and everything. But I will say that like some of that was probably some of the things, what "The Next Right Thing," the song kind of says, is the whole concept of, everything bad happens, bad stuff happens, but you just have to do the next right thing, the next step. And it's, it's Anna's big song for the movie, and she's, making her way out of the cave. And she, we see her see the dam that her grandfather had built. And like Kristoff had said when they had first gotten to the forest and they saw the dam, that, if that dam came down, then like all the water that was in there would like wipe out everything on this fjord. And that would include Arendelle, because Arendelle is on the fjord. And, we see this resolve in Anna, and she's just like, "I have to bring the dam down. that has to be what happens. That has to be the next thing that I do. And she goes and she runs and she finds the Earth Giants and she wakes them up and she leads them to the dam, and like Kristoff shows up and like he's, right, him and Sven are getting her to the dam and everything. And, Mateus and the rest of the Arendellian soldiers are there, and they're like, what are you doing? And she's like, this dam has to come down, because until this dam can come down, Arendelle has no future, because we have to right this wrong in order to help move forward and make things better. And the soldiers then help her, and they, get the Earth Giants there, and they're throwing the boulders, and they start destroying the dam. And the water comes out, and, the spirits awaken Elsa, and, like, she's, unfrozen, and she, falls, she ends up, like, falling through the glacier, and, like, she's caught by the Knock, and the Knock rides her, carries her back to Arendelle, and, like, they're racing against the water that's rushing down the fjord to where Arendelle is, which is why the spirits had gotten everybody out of Arendelle. And Elsa and the Knock get there just in time, and they get there just in time, and she's able to, like, put up, like, this giant ice wall that, like, stops the wave of water from hitting Arendelle and destroying it, and then it, like, calms down the rest of the water, and, everything is restored, and, like, back with the Northuldra and the Enchanted Forest, we see all of the the fog is lifting, and, like, the Northuldra people and the Arendellians that have been in there for the past 32 some years, get their way out and everything. And, the ones that have been born in the forest, they get to see the sky for the first time. So, like, Ryder and Honeymaren get to see the sky for the first time. And, like, Mateus and Yelena walk out, like, kind of, arm in arm. Not that they're a couple, but, like, it's finally over. They can finally leave. And, like, Kristoff is there with Anna and everything, and, like, she's still very sad. She's, like, happy that, like, this part is fixed, but she doesn't know if Arendelle is alive. She still thinks that, like, Elsa is dead, and that, Olaf is gone, and that, like, Kristoff and Sven are, like, the only two that she has left at this point in time. And, they, Elsa had been able to, stop, the wave from hitting, Arendelle, and, like, saved it, and rode back on the Knock back to where, Anna was. And, so they're reunited, and then, like, Anna's doing, like, the ugly cry of, like, I've never seen you again, type of thing. And I was just like, yeah, no, I've had the ugly cry. I've cried that way a couple of videos. Mostly notable were, Digimon ones with, Ty and Matt and, Kari. And what ends up happening is, Elsa then is able to, fix, Olaf, bring him back to life, and he's fine. And then Kristoff finally is able to propose to Anna properly, and she says yes, of course. And then Elsa tells Anna, Arendelle is fine. The spirits decided that Arendelle deserves a second chance with you as its queen. And, Mother had 2 daughters, and a bridge has 2 sides. And, you and Arendelle and me here with the Northuldra and helping connect with the spirits. And, like, Anna's like, you are the 5th spirit type of thing. And, we cut forward a little bit, and, like, Anna is now, she's queen of Arendelle. And, Olaf and Kristoff and Sven are all, like, in very, very nice clothes. Because, like, Kristoff doesn't really like putting on, like, the really, really nice restricting clothes, but, like, he's like, you get this for an hour. And I just find that so funny, that he's just like, yeah, you get this for an hour, and then I'm changing back into my regular clothes. And, like, Anna's just like, it's okay, I like you in leather more, and she, like, walks off. But it's just, like, so funny. And then, like, we see Lieutenant Mateus, who is now General. And, he's, like, been reunited with the woman that he'd been, kind of in love with before he'd gone, before he'd had to go off to, the Northuldra, lands. And I'm assuming that, like, either they are married or they might get married or something like that, but, like, they got a photograph taken, and he's just like, so what is this? It's called a photograph. Okay. And, Honor reveals, Anna and Mateus reveal this statue that is this beautiful bronze version of Anna and Elsa's parents, of King Agnar and Queen Iduna, when they were children, with Agnar in like his royal clothing from when he was a child, and Iduna in like her Northuldra clothing. I don't remember if we actually see the shawl on her or not, but we see that. And it's this beautiful statue. And then, of course, Elsa is, of course, still up with the Northuldra. And, like, her and Anna are still in communications and everything like that via, Gale, the wind spirit, carrying messages back and forth between the two of them. And, like, Elsa being able to ride on the Knock back to Arendelle and everything. We see like Ryder and Honeymaren, and like things are much better, and like the stone giants are everybody's friends now. And of course we get like the great ending songs on the movie that are just reprises and stuff like that. And then like there's the post-credit scene, which is just kind of funny, which is just Olaf basically reenacting the tale of what just happened in the movie to Marshmallow and all the little snow geese that are up in Elsa's palace. In regards to cast, of course, I think everybody that was in the original movie came back for this one. We have Idina Menzel, of course, as Elsa. We have Kristen Bell as Anna. We have Jonathan Groff as Kristoff. We have Frank Welker / Jonathan Groff as Finn. Frank Welker does like the reindeer noises from, of course. We have Josh Gad as Olaf. We have Sterling K. Brown as Lieutenant Mateus. We have Evan Rachel Wood as Queen Iduna. And I think, if I remember correctly, I do believe that she also plays like the Black Widow's kind of mother figure in the Black Widow movie, the Marvel one that came out a little while ago. I think. I could be wrong on that, but I think. We have Alfred Molina as King Agnar. We have Martha Plimpton as Yelena, the leader of the Northuldra. We have Rachel Matthews as Honeymaren. We have Jason Ritter as Ryder. We have Jeremy Sisko as King Runard. We have pretty much everybody else came back. Alan Tudyk, his like archive voice is like used for like, because like we see the Duke of Wesselton as like an ice thing running around, but he also voices one of the Arendellian soldiers that's still in the forest. In regards to trivia, so just funny bits for trivia. So Anna's voice actress, Kristen Bell, had accidentally spoiled the plot of the movie to her two daughters. And she realized this afterwards, that she'd done this and that it was in breach of contract. So she told that she could be properly sued by Disney for it. And she told her children that you could not tell anyone or your teeth will fall out. I'm like, well, I guess that's one way to make sure your children don't, blab. The movie itself takes place 3 years after the initial movie. So Elsa is 24 and Anna is 21. And the film also takes place 2 years after Frozen Fever, which shows Anna's 19th birthday. According to Jennifer Lee, who is the one of the directors of this, I believe the other one is Chris Buck. The prologue of the movie takes place like on the same night, just earlier as the prologue in the original film, of course. And Elsa, even though she is technically the fifth spirit, she is still human. She's because there was like a lot of things like, oh, is she immortal now or everything? No, she's still just human. And the sequel serves to end the entire franchise, so it just wraps everything up. Because Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck, say that they told everything that they wanted to tell in the story, and it just wraps it up. And if I remember correctly, Alfred Molina, who plays King Agnar, he also is Doc Ock in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and he will be reprising the role of Doc Ock in Spider-Man No Way Home. And he was Double Dan in Ralph Breaks the Internet. And he is actually married to Jennifer Lee, to the director of the movie. I don't know when they met, but they met at some point in time, and they're married and everything. And that's about what I have for this. I do very much like the movie. I love the music in the movie. The songs are great. Next Right Thing does kind of make me cry at times. And it's just fun. There's a music video for Panic at the Disco did the music video for, Into the Unknown for their version of it, and Lost in the Woods, Weezer did a version of that for theirs, and it's like a parody of like what's in the movie, which is just funny, which is just really funny to watch. And the final one that will be coming out for the Disney movies for now is will be Raya and the Last Dragon. Will be the next one that will be coming out for this, and that should be out before the end of the year. I still have not seen Encanto, the newest one, and I do want to. I just haven't gotten the chance for my dad and I to go and see that in theaters yet. And I will end up doing a review of that, but that might be like once it goes to DVD, so that way I can, have watched it more than once. But we'll see. But I do intend on at some point I will do a video of that. I'm going to do some other Christmas-ish type videos and some other like My Hero type videos for the end of this year and going into next year and such. So that's what we have here. I actually am recording this the day after I got my booster shot, and yeah, my arm hurts from that. But I did get to spend the afternoon of that day watching my cousin dance as Maria in the Nutcracker Delights. So that was very nice. She's one of the main characters in it. So I thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye! The Enchanted Forest will bring transformation.